Welcome, everyone. My name is Sarah Rainey, and I am the Events and Programs Coordinator for the Burnaby Board of Trade. Before we start, I would like to take a moment to recognize that we are on the traditional homeland of the Hunkaminam and Skohomish speaking peoples, and to extend appreciation for the opportunity to hold a meeting on this territory. In today's event, Rob Matula, MARCC of Matula Counselling, will teach you how mindfulness can help employees and employers to communicate and detoxify your workplace. You will learn how mindfulness can create calm and ease, improve your health, heighten productivity, and free you from stress at work. Rob typically works with clients on work-related issues, stress, anxiety, depression, PTSD, communication, and career development. In his practice, Rob is committed to meeting his clients where they are at and helping them flourish in their lives through creating a safe, authentic, client-centered environment. He is passionate about working with adults in the management and development area of their professional careers. Give me a moment here to share my screen again. Before we start, I'd like to thank our annual partners, who are those organizations who stand out as top corporate citizens in Burnaby and support our work through the year. You can see their logos on the screen now. And now we are pleased to get underway with today's session. As we go through today's presentation, if you have questions, you may enter those in the chat or the Q&A. I'll be monitoring them, or you can save them for the end, and we will wrap up again. Now I am pleased to be joined by Rob Matula, MARCC of Matula Counselling. Rob has been a registered clinical counselor for 5 years and has worked in the helping profession for over 10 years. He has worked in a variety of academic settings in the past for career counseling. From time to time, he also leads career workshops, enabling clients to begin thriving in their careers and become the fullest expression of themselves. Clients are able to utilize their skills, talents, and gifts to establish a career they love and value. Rob, I will hand it over to you now.
All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Does that look okay? Okay, perfect. All right. So I know Sarah already mentioned a bit about myself. I'll just very quickly talk a little bit about myself. So I've been a practicing clinical counselor for a little over 6 years. I do have my own private practice called Matula Counselling. So we work with career and work-related mental health issues. So I work with professionals, organizations on career and work-related issues such as stress, burnout, work-life balance, and career development. And I also provide customized research-informed webinars, trainings, and programs on mindfulness, stress management, and other topics. And I'm also a lifelong mindfulness practitioner as well. So I'm just going to articulate some intentions for this webinar. So what we'll do in this webinar is we'll work on understanding what mindfulness is and its groundings in high-quality, peer-reviewed scientific research, and also to kickstart the process of integrating mindfulness into your own life, so you can enjoy the health, wellness, and neurological benefits in your own life. And then also to start looking at how to integrate mindfulness into your company culture as well, so that you can have a healthier, more productive, work environment, and just better able to fulfill on your company's mission. Okay, so just a quick note on housekeeping. You will receive a copy of the slides. as well, so you don't have to worry too much about notes. I also encourage you to go over the slides as well. I've actually put in quite a number of links where I've referenced the material and the different sources that I've drawn from. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, you can feel free to ask them right away. I'll do my best to answer them, given them the amount of time that we have. And plus, if you have any questions after the webinar, you want to know more, you feel free to reach out to me. So I'll just give you a bit of an overview. So we're going to talk about what is mindfulness, how does mindfulness relate to stress, a little bit about the neuroscience of mindfulness, different mindfulness practices you can use, and also creating a mindful workplace culture as well. Okay, so what is mindfulness? Well, there are a lot of different definitions on mindfulness. I don't know if the scholarly community has really one agreed upon definition. So for this talk, I'd like to define mindfulness as mindfulness is awareness along with acceptance. So what is awareness? So just to clarify the notion of awareness, just try the following. Just notice the sensations in your feet right now. And notice, for instance, a sound off in the distance. Or you can even notice the rhythm of your breathing. So just now note that this is an experience that is in your awareness. So that's kind of an experiential way of understanding awareness. Okay, so what is acceptance? So when I say acceptance, I don't mean like this kind of like giving up or giving in or not trying to solve a problem. Instead, when I say acceptance, I'm referring to something, seeing something as it is, without evaluation or judgment. In fact, acceptance can often be a stepping stone toward actually solving a problem. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mindfulness and stress. So the World Health Organization defines stress as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation, right? So it's a natural human response to a challenge or a threat. So there's actually a group of researchers that reviewed over 200 studies, and they actually found that a mindfulness-based therapy is especially effective for reducing anxiety, depression, and stress. So in other words, mindfulness is a research-proven way to reduce stress. All right, so mindfulness has actually been quite heavily studied in neuroscience as well. So I'll just illustrate some related studies that have been done. So this is a few among many. First of all, there was an article in Harvard Business Review that was titled, "Mindfulness Can Literally Change Your Brain." So that was one article. Another peer-reviewed scholarly study was on how mindfulness practice leads to increased regional brain gray matter density. I know I'm using a lot of jargon words, but just bear with me here. Another one was mindfulness-based intervention in Parkinson's disease led to structural brain changes on MRI, which was a randomized controlled longitudinal trial. And then there was another study where they found that there were changes in brainstem gray matter concentration following mindfulness-based intervention, which was also correlated with improvement in psychological well-being as well. So just in short, mindfulness changes your brain in a good way. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll do a nice little simple exercise here just to give you a sense of, just to give you an experience for mindfulness. So what I'm going to get you to do now is just take a moment and just get comfortable in your chair or wherever you are. And I'm going to guide you through a series of tasks. Okay, so So I'm going to say one task, wait a few moments, and then we'll move on to the next one. So the first thing I'd like you to do is just start to notice a couple things in the room, in your immediate environment. So notice 5 things that you see in the room. So just take a few moments to do that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to get you to do is notice 4 sensations. Okay, so that's whatever's touching skin, whatever's on the top of your skin. So just right now, notice 4 sensations. Okay, so now what I'm going to get you to do is notice 3 sounds. They could be sounds around you, close by, off in the distance. Okay, so now notice what you smell. And now notice what you taste. Just whatever, it could be that you had a coffee this morning. You can still taste that in your mouth. Okay, so that was a quick, fun exercise. So now just feel free to note what you noticed in doing that exercise. So Sarah, if there's anyone who comments, feel free to. I'd love to hear what people noticed during that exercise. This is actually an exercise I do a lot with clients in my private practice, just for them to get a taste of what mindfulness is.
Did anybody want to share how they felt during the practice, or if they noticed anything? They can pop it in the chat now.
I believe your chat is disabled for everyone.
Oh dear. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. If anybody, Jenny, did you want to just make that comment, or would you like to share something here now when you raised your hand?
Oh no, thank you so much. I really appreciate the step-by-step in being really aware. Sometimes you just wake up and you have this whole list of to-dos, and then you're dealing with stress of driving and making it to your first meeting. So sometimes that's just, you're just one breath away from just regulating your nervous system. So it's really helpful.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's a great insight.
It looks like Sonia also has a question. Sonia, go ahead.
Hi. So
Hi.
I was just going to say that the chat was disabled. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I like that exercise. I've used it before. It's really good in the noticing what's around you. But I had never done where I notice physical sensations on my skin. So that one's really good because it brings you even more. It just quiets you even more.
Awesome. Great. Okay, well, shall we move on? I know there's probably more in the chat. Okay. Well, let's move on. Yeah, you can always, if anything comes up, you could always ask at the end as well. Okay. All right. So let's talk a bit about how to integrate mindfulness into your lifestyle. So this is really where the rubber meets the road. Is it's one thing to know about mindfulness. It's another thing. It can be a lot more challenging to actually practice mindfulness. So the best way I've found, working with like hundreds of clients in incorporating mindfulness into their life, the best way to practice mindfulness is to integrate it into your daily or weekly life. So essentially, you're developing a habit of mindfulness. Okay, so here's some mindfulness exercises. There's probably countless different ways of practicing mindfulness. So one of them, a nice simple one, is mindful breathing. So every once in a while throughout the day, maybe you're sitting at your desk at work, you just take one mindful breath. So that's when you take a breath, that you're aware that you're breathing. You notice kind of as the breath goes in or as the air goes in and as the air flows out. So just being mindful of your breath. Mindful drinking, like my favorite mindfulness practice is having my morning coffee. So rather than kind of buzzing about the day or like trying to think about a problem, solving a business problem while I'm drinking coffee, I really try to just drink the coffee. Just notice the taste, the smell, things like that. Mindful sensing, which is very similar to what we just did. You can do a walk while you can be mindful while you're walking. So maybe noticing the clouds, the trees, birds, the sound of the birds, that kind of thing. There's the body scan. This is a really popular one in mindfulness, which is just noticing the internal sensations in your body. You could do mindful sitting, which a lot of people think of as meditation. And then mind watching. I really like this one. This is a bit more of an advanced skill. So actually noticing your thoughts as they arise and making note of it. Like there was actually this thought, maybe a judgment kind of swept across your mind as you know, someone said something to you and you notice that judgment, and it's just being mindful of that. Okay, I also like to use technology to help me with my mindfulness habit. So I use an app called Act Companion. I think the lifetime license is $18. I'm not sure. I really like that one because it gives me prompts, it gives me mindfulness prompts throughout the day. Other popular apps are Headspace and Calm. Like, you know, I have a few clients that really like these apps. So you can use this to kind of boost your mindfulness practice throughout the day. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about creating your own mindfulness practice, okay? So what I'd like you to do is just 2-3 points, just jot down some mindfulness exercises that you would like to start building into your routine. So take a few moments to do that right now. All right. And just for some inspiration, you can hear other people's ideas and you can borrow them or steal them. We'll just give you an opportunity to share what you wrote in the meeting chat. And Sarah, if you want to kind of say some of them, just to get some inspiration and some ideas for other people.
Jane says that to set aside time in the morning after she wakes up, take mindful walking and take time out of the day to breathe, which I agree. I also would like to do the same.
Nice.
Mindful movement in the morning with from Sonia.
Yeah. One thing I'll say too is you can also integrate mindfulness into other practices you already do, like yoga. Like you just bring the mindful awareness to your yoga or Pilates. So you can integrate mindfulness into a lot of different things because it really is just a state of an awareness with acceptance.
It's true. We also have from Raj to carve out time in his calendar to reflect on the day and show gratitude for what went well.
Yeah, I love bringing gratitude into my mindfulness practice. Good. Anything else?
I think that's it for right now.
That's it? Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for sharing. I hope you gained some inspiration from those ideas. All right. Okay, so let's talk a bit about mindfulness and your workplace or your organization, okay? So there were a group of researchers. They basically they selected and they looked at 28 empirical studies. And they found that mindfulness-based training is an effective intervention for organizations to improve mental health, well-being, and the performance of employees. Another study showed that there was this mindfulness workplace wellness program called Be Well. And they actually found that through this program, there were significant improvements in workers' sick leave, and changes to stress and satisfaction scores as well. And if you're interested in these studies, the links are at the bottom of the slide as well. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is just begin to imagine a mindfulness-enriched culture. Like, just start to envision, what would it be like if your workplace had this quality of mindfulness in the culture? Right? And the presence of mindfulness was clear, alive, and really palpable throughout your entire organization. Like, you could sense it, you could feel it in meetings, interactions, exchanges between colleagues, between supervisor and supervisee, that kind of thing, throughout the entire system of interactions in the organization. So just take a moment and just reflect on, like, what would that be like, if mindfulness was really present in your organization? Just get a sense of that. Okay, now get a sense of what would the feeling or sense of the culture be at your workplace or organization? What would your feeling of the culture be like if mindfulness was really integrated into your work environment? Okay, so now the last question is how might things change at work? Would there be a change in work-life balance, change in productivity, flow, efficiency? Would people feel happier and healthier? Would the time of meetings be reduced, right? Because a lot of time we spend is just in our own head thinking about stuff. Would people have a greater quality of life? Would they feel more at ease? What would that happen to the company's mission and impact they're out to make? Okay, so, yeah, let's maybe just take a moment. If you want to jot something down in the meeting chat, just feel free to do that. Like, any insights came up or anything came up for you through that exercise? Even if it just felt good thinking about it.
Jenny has shared that yields greater productivity and more relaxed atmosphere with less sick days.
Yeah. Yeah, and the research shows, it's in the research, Okay, anything else?
Anything else? I don't think so. I think we're good here.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks.
All right, so let's talk now a bit about how to actually start cultivating a mindful culture. So here are 4 ways. Culture work is a very complex kind of thing. But what you could even start doing just as a a member of your team at work, you could actually start to nurture this culture of mindfulness at work, doing it in small ways, like starting small. Of course, always with the permission of your colleagues and your boss as well. So here are some ways that you could start to nurture mindfulness in the culture. So one thing is just start to stimulate and encourage conversations about mindfulness practices. So let's say you're working on integrating mindfulness into your lifestyle, just sharing about it at work and then asking other people to share their practices as well. The other thing you could do is you could create like a partnership structure at work. And this just helps to sustain the mindfulness practices with each other. So it could be like a Monday morning call with one of your colleagues where you can just talk about mindfulness and you can hold each other accountable to your practices. Another way is by providing mindfulness training for your staff. So I actually put some articles below just on Google's mindfulness training, and then also Nike and Apple. And there's a variety of Fortune 500 companies who provide mindfulness training for their staff. And then the other one is just by practicing mindful communication and also mindful leadership as well. So I'll talk a bit about mindful communication. So mindful communication is communication, but also bringing a sense of awareness, empathy, and compassion to your conversations at work, right? So a key skill in mindful communication is active listening. So active listening is really about, bringing your whole self into the conversation, right? So this involves being fully present with the other or with your team as well, noticing nonverbal cues, asking open-ended questions, reflecting back what the speaker is saying or meaning as well. So this is a really active form of listening. It's not just receiving the information, it's really engaging with the other person in a mindful way. So essentially, mindful communication is noticing with present moment awareness what the other person is saying, and also how they're saying it, and also what's going inside of you, So, yeah, and there's a link below regarding mindful communication. Okay. So let's talk a bit more about developing a mindful culture. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is just take a moment to jot down 2 to 3 steps you can take to kickstart the development of a mindful culture at work. So I'm just going to give you a few moments just to start, just write down a few things that you can see to kickstart this, forming a mindful culture in your workplace. And just know, you don't have to be a professional psychologist either to be able to do this. I mean, you yourself can start paving the way for a more mindful, healthier culture at work. Like really recognize your capacity to do that as well. So I just give you a few moments, jot down a few things. So the other thing as well is just as a fun project, you could even start to begin to plant the seed of a mindfulness enriched culture at work, using what you learned in the webinar, of course, with the permission of your boss and team. But yeah, maybe as a little bonus challenge, I mean, you could even take that on, at your, take that on at work, even next week. You wanted to, of course, do it collaboratively, get other people on board, and just be in communication that this is what you're doing and this is your intention, and get permission first. And also, if you get permission as well, it just creates that kind of enrollment. People get more, they're more likely to be on board as well, as opposed to if you just did it without telling anyone. Okay.
We have in the chat two people have chatted with us. So from Jane, she said, start every meeting with a check-in where people can talk about how they're doing, or also pair up colleagues to remind them and discuss mindfulness and do a short training on mindfulness. And we also have from Sonia, to start talking about it and practice the active listening with colleagues and clients. Take 10-minute mindfulness breaks and let people know what you're doing.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. So I really see it kind of integrating into like meetings and things like that. Yeah. Anything else?
Nothing else at this time.
Oh, okay.
I think we're good.
Great. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're doing really good for time here.
If anyone else does have anything they'd like to share, feel free to pop it in. I was going to suggest my own.
Sure.
I think one thing that might be really helpful, maybe if you have monthly meetings or weekly meetings, it might be nice to share, take the idea of doing gratitude or like wins, things that are good that you can share with your teammates. I think that makes everyone feel really good about themselves, and it's nice to hear the success, whether it's a small or a large win.
Yeah, yeah. And gratitude, I know I didn't talk much about gratitude within this webinar. It really is a real kind of, it is connected to mindfulness practice. So essentially, gratitude is, one way of practicing kind of a mindfulness-based gratitude is through something called savoring, right? So if you, let's say there's a really beautiful sunrise, right? And you just find your body and your spirit is just really, really enjoying it. You're really basking in this this beautiful sunrise, and you feel this sense of gratitude. Well, you can actually bring mindfulness to that experience and really just mindfully kind of savor that experience of gratitude. Really, really feel it in your body, right? And really kind of bask in that sense of gratitude, right? So, I mean, gratitude has really been well studied in the literature, and it's been integrated a lot in organizational development as well. I mean, if you don't have some kind of gratitude practice in your organization, you could really benefit from one. Because I don't know about you, but I think it's kind of part of the human condition that people love to feel appreciated. They love to feel acknowledged for the hard work they're doing. So gratitude is definitely a great way of just bringing that greater sense of energy, that really kind of invigorating your workplace culture. So, yeah. Anyone else?
Yes,
Any other
actually,
ideas?
we do. We have a comment from Natasha. She said, we did a 30-day gratitude and mindfulness challenge at our office, and it was amazing. That's from Park
Wow.
Insurance, which I think, sorry to comment on a comment, that sounds like a really great way to kickstart getting mindfulness into people's mind headspace. And Raj also followed up by saying, opening up the meeting and going around while you're in person or virtual to share your personal or business wins recently.
Yeah.
And then, I think everybody kind of likes Natasha's 30-day gratitude and mindfulness challenge.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, doing like a set day challenge is a really good way of creating a kind of, starting to build a kind of mindfulness, wellness program, right? So if you're wanting to start to develop a corporate wellness program, mindfulness is a great foundation for developing a program. It's very solid. It's very well established in the scholarly literature, from neuroscience studies to psychological studies to clinical studies. It's very well established, and I really try to really kind of give mindfulness a kind of foundation for any kind of clinical work I do, or working with professionals, companies, things like that. Because it really is very powerful. It's subtle, but it's very powerful. Not just on your well-being, but also on your health as well. Like, there's been some studies to show that mindfulness actually affects your health as well in a variety of ways. So not just neurologically, but your overall health as well. So, yeah. Okay. So we'll just do a quick check-in. Is there anything else in the chat?
I think that's it for this moment.
Okay. Great. Okay. So, that concludes the workshop. So if you'd like to know more about mindfulness, feel free to just reach out. I put all my contact info on these slides. If you want to grab a coffee or you want to do a Zoom chat to talk more about it, let me know. I'm happy to share my knowledge and expertise. This is something I highly, highly encourage you to begin thinking about implementing in your workplace, because I think the research shows that it can make quite a significant difference in a variety of ways. Not just productivity and efficiency or those kinds of metrics, but also in a kind of holistic health and wellness sense for your employees, which will lead to productivity and reduced burnout and things like that. So, yeah. Well, thank you very much for attending today. It's a real pleasure for me to share this with you. So if there are any questions, you can feel free to ask, or we're doing good for time. So even if someone wants to share with video, that might be an option.
Yes, if anybody would like to ask any questions, you can raise your hand, or you can pop it in the chat if we'd like to discuss anything. I had one question. Is there a way that you might suggest for teams? How would they, or I guess it's different for every team, but how might you introduce mindfulness to your colleagues, or how would you suggest bringing it up in a way that's kind of comfortable for everyone? If some people maybe are resistant to the idea or a little confused.
Yeah, mindfulness is quite a buzzword in organizations and things like that, and like how to leverage mindfulness. And like a lot of Fortune 500 companies do mindfulness already, right? So people might have mixed feelings about mindfulness. I would suggest really starting off if you're gonna build a corporate wellness program within your organization, what is the purpose of it? What is the intention of building this corporate wellness program, right? Because mindfulness, just for the sake of mindfulness, is probably not going to be that appealing to people. But if you actually sit down with them and you're like, okay, here's what we want to do in this company, and this is how it's aligned with what we're up to, our company's mission, how we want to change things in our organization. And then you can show them how mindfulness can actually help with that. And just have an authentic conversation with them about what are you up to? What are you trying to accomplish in your organization? And then kind of bridge that, show them how mindfulness can actually help with that, and show them the data. I'm a firm believer in just going to the data. Does mindfulness actually work, right? Go to the data. Does it help with this organizational challenge or whatever it is whatever problem you're wanting to solve? Go to the data. I posted some links here as well. So see if it's a good fit for you. Is it able to solve the problems you want to solve or accomplish the things you want to accomplish? And then share with them, the data in mindfulness, and has the research shown that it's been able to actually help with those issues?
That's a really good answer. Thank you, Rob. I don't think we have any more questions. If anybody would like to put their question in, go ahead and pop it in now. And as always, we will be sending the slideshow to you after this, so you can reference all of the links that Rob included, so you'll be able to follow up on anything. Great. Well, thank you very much, Rob. That was a great session, and I think people found it very, very helpful, and this is going to be very useful information going forward for everyone.